All right, thanks, Rose. You can see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for inviting us to speak today. My name is Alan Melly, and I am one of the co-leads for PennDOT's Digital Delivery Directive 2025. I'm here with my co-lead, Mark Chappell. I am a graduate of the University of Pittsburgh. I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science degree in civil engineering. Went to work for PennDOT right out of school, and I've been with PennDOT for a little over 21 years now. I've worked my way up through the design ranks, so most of my career I've been on the design side of the house. Started out in District 9 around the Hollidaysburg area, through the design ranks there, and then in the last 5 years, I moved to Harrisburg. I am now based out of our Harrisburg central office as a project development engineer and have been tagged with sort of co-leading this very overreaching directive that we have to move towards digital delivery. So I'm going to get into a lot of the stuff behind digital delivery today, and with that, I will let Mark introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
All right, thanks, Alan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Chappell. I also graduated from University of Pittsburgh, but I'm from the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown. Graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering Technology. I have 31 years of engineering experience. I've been doing this for a while. I still remember when I started, I still remember the pre-CAD days. So seen a lot of changes, and hopefully this help transition the department through some more here before I go. Like I said, I've been with the department now for 18 years with PennDOT. Prior to PennDOT, I worked 13 years for various consulting firms, working my way up through all the different ranks and everything, as Alan was mentioning, going through ranks and gaining the experience. Right now, currently, I am stationed in central office. I am the section chief of the utilities and right-of-way section in central office. And I also have been tagged to help co-lead this initiative along with Alan to help guide the department through this transition. So we have a lot of, like Alan said, we have a lot of information to share with you guys today. Hope you sit back and listen to what we have to say, take it in, and ask us some questions, and we'll do our best to answer everything you have to ask at the end. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mark. Okay, so what will we cover today? Basically, what is digital delivery? What is driving this change to move towards a digital delivery program? It's, again, it's a paradigm shift. It's going to be completely different than what we do today. So lots of changes to come. What are the benefits of moving towards a digital delivery process? PennDOT's vision to achieve this, the creation of the strategic plan. How is PennDOT going to achieve the vision that we have laid out? How do we plan on signing and sealing these digital models? And then what outreach, do we have currently going on and into the future to, keep up with this directive as we're moving forward? So some of you may be old enough to remember the old cathode ray tube televisions. A good analogy for digital delivery and the 2D, 3D difference is really looking at the old technology, the red, green, blue dots out of your cathode ray, TV. So it worked, still works today. But as we move forward, we have new technology. So we have the new flat screen televisions that get, rather large, nice, crisp pictures. What we're looking at currently is, those nice, crisp pictures with that cathode ray TV stuff still behind it. So as we move forward, we have, again, this new technology with the flat screen TVs, but our pixelated picture is, not very crisp and clear. Why? Because that's how we've always done it. all of our processes and procedures, the way we present our plans, everything like that, we do it because that's how we've always done it. So we want to bring this technology to the forefront and utilize these flat screen TVs, with the crisp picture as we move forward, use it to its ability. So back in the 80s, you could see, plan rooms that look similar to this, where you're laying out your plan sheets, profile sheets, cross sections, again, those 2D plan sheets, same as we've, always done it. As you go through your designs, erasing or completely, redrawing all by hand. So large, time-consuming projects would take place doing it this way. Move into, 2021, we have these, high-end computers that can do a lot of modeling, parametric constraints, a lot easier to balance our earthwork as we're moving forward. But again, what are we doing with that data? We break it down into the 2D plan sheets and give it to our contractors. Just the same way that we would with a cathode ray TV, we're still doing, with that flat screen, giving the same output that we have been given because we've always done it that way. So with this directive, it was really a time to embrace a new way of doing things. We need to stop taking that smart data and breaking it into less meaningful pieces. So, we're doing all of this design work behind the scenes. We have all of this data, but then again, to give it out to the contractor, we break it down and put it into 2D plan sheets. And that's what the contractor builds off of. They'll sometimes recreate other models. So we need to really rethink how we approach, delivering our projects. So there are so many different ways to be able to do this. So the outcomes are limitless, to utilize that technology and get away from that thinking of, but that's how we've always done it. Thinking outside the box as we move forward. So I always like to start off our digital delivery presentations with what PennDOT's vision is, or what we see is digital delivery. You could talk to other DOTs, other organizations, and they may have a little bit different take on what is considered digital delivery. Now, we give this talk, all over the country as far as, moving this forward. So in simplest of terms, it's building deliverables that are both human readable and computer readable at the same time. So it's that use of digital data to deliver projects. We're going to transfer that relevant information from design to construction to asset management. It's that complete life cycle of a project. Like I was saying, we take that, that data rich design that we have now, and we break it down into the 2D plan sheets and give it to the contractor. From the contractor, he builds off of that, 2D plan sheet. He'll sometimes create models for what he needs it for, but still utilizing that 2D plan sheet. Then the information we get back from our contractors is really a red line plan that shows, what was, supposed to be installed, or where something changed and quantities crossed out and, given back to us. So that's really as much we get back for an as-built at this point. So it's going to offer us, new ways to view these projects and designs in the field. So you're going to be able to see the interaction of a bridge and roadway together. You're going to be able to rotate. You're going to be able to, look how that ditch looks, or how that guide rail interacts with, the roadway, or if it's going to affect that ditch. So it's going to offer us new ways to view this design as we move forward. So, and it's going to be that way to capture the as-built information during construction. Now, the department is good at tracking pavements, bridges, but assets beyond that, not as great at. It's hit or miss. So with this, we will be able to track every asset that we have. So you can look at, say paint lines. We'll be able to determine where a certain paint line was installed across the state here eventually, once we, get all this information back. So if we have an issue with a certain type of paint line as we're moving forward, we'll be able to query that and tell exactly where that type of paint line was installed all across the state. So it will help us for our asset information. And again, it's that complete life cycle of a project with that data being, from design to construction, back to asset management, and then back to design again. So this will all capture all of the information everybody's going to need somewhere along that line. So what's driving this change? As you can see, the amount of data is just exponentially increasing. So and it's becoming harder and harder to manage as we move forward. So, our organizations, we're being flooded with so much data at this point, in the forms of, spreadsheets, PDFs, CAD files. So not just, developing this, data, it's storing it and then, being able to have access to this data. You know, there was a study done here not too many years ago that shows employees spend approximately 1.8 hours a day searching for relevant information that they need for their products. So it's not just that we're going to, need more data. It's how are we going to structure this information instead of just creating it? So we need access to it, easier access to this data as we're moving forward. So there's also new technology that is driving this this forward. Bentley products are changing to their new open platform. The Autodesk is starting to make changes to better support the horizontal projects. Then Allplan is creating and selling a parametric bridge modeling tool. So within the next year or so, most state agencies will have these programs, implemented or in the process of being implemented. So they are simply better tools to help us visualize our design intent much more effectively. So it's really a paradigm shift. So what does that really mean? So we want to design projects using a model-centric approach that produces 3D models for construction. So all project elements, which would be typically shown on a set of plans, will be contained within this CAD model. For example, a traditional detail or call outs to a standard drawing could be attached to the element as a PDF file. Another example would be the things like, calculations, typically shown on printed tables or such, could be attached as a spreadsheet directly to a modeled object. Other examples or, of files that could be attached include, photos, videos, Word documents, web links. And also when we say we want to use a model-based approach for design, it doesn't necessarily mean that we only want 3D objects. So infrastructure models will be a mixture of both 2D and 3D objects. However, the entire project model will become the governing vehicle for the design. So examples of 2D geometry that could be included in this could be the right-of-way lines, paint lines, construction limits, and so forth. The 3D model will represent the design intent, and the designers will be able to view profiles, cross sections directly from the model rather than cutting sheets to have to view them. So the main takeaway, from this paradigm shift is that the 3D model will be the primary document of truth and will be contractually binding. So the model will be used to construct the project and also used to inspect the project. And then at the end of the project, we will ask the contractor for a model that represents that as-built environment. So now we do realize there will be still need for plan sheets or what we're considering views. So these views could be required for right-of-way acquisition and recording. A lot of our courthouses now are just getting away from, the microfilm. So it's going to be quite some time before they would ever accept a model deliverable. So we realized that there's still going to have to be plan sheets that are needed. for the right-of-way acquisition. Coordination with agencies such as DEP, DCNR, Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, they may not be ready either for that model. So also coordination with utilities and railroads. Now, some are asking for that already and will find benefit in those models. But again, these models and these views here may not look like exactly what a plan sheet that we've typically put out may not look like that. So, we're developing that here as we go, but we do realize that some plan sheets will be required here as we move forward. So as we get into the benefits of digital delivery, it can really be boiled down into these four important benefits. Is really the improved design quality, reduced risk and project cost, increased construction efficiency, and improved as-builts. So once everyone starts using this model-based approach, it will be easier to review the quality of that design intent. A 3D environment will allow us to view these projects in ways that are just not possible currently in 2D plans. And a model-based design approach will give us the opportunity to review our design intent before we bid these projects. And we'll be able to see the roadway and bridge design details together, which will allow us to find issues earlier on. I mean, current 2D plan sheets, you cannot see these designs together like you can in a 3D environment. So a model-based design method allows us to work more collaboratively and effectively, which improves how we communicate our design intent. And ultimately, this gives us the ability to affect cost and performance in ways that aren't happening currently with our traditional 2D plan-centric design approach. And today, we spend most of our time detailing sheets rather than improving the design content. And in a model-based approach, we'll spend most of that time early on in the process adding more detailed design content. So as this chart here shows, the black line represents our plan-centric workflow. This shows where we have some detailed design, but a majority of the time of this project is spent in plan sheet development. We want to move from 3 to 4. 4 is the green line, which represents the model-centric BIM workflow. So we'll have the ability to add more detail to these designs. Now, overall, this is not anticipated to save us time in the project development process overall, but it's where that time is spent. So we want to spend more of that time in the detailed design early on in that project where we can affect the cost a lot greater. So you have the ability to affect the cost of the project early on in the project than a lot later. If you're making changes later on in the project, it's going to cost a lot more to make those changes than what it will early on. So because 3D models will help us produce more accurate designs, digital delivery allows us to enhance the project coordination and quality reviews, especially when it comes to utility conflicts, but also, design errors and admissions. So 3D design also enables us to, look at constructability issues early on, which translates into the reduction of change orders. A lot of change orders, are accounted for with this digital delivery. So subsurface utility surveys can be used to model utilities and perform clash detection and identify potential impacts. So the green, red, and yellow lines here shown in the image are an example of utility coordination model. So in this image, we had a designer model the utility locations, and it's based on SUE quality level D. So these lines represent, bands. They're wider bands because it depends on what level of detail that that information was put in for. So we'll be able to, determine that width and determine if it's a soft clash or hard clash again, dependent on that, level of confidence in the information that was received from the utility companies. So these same design models will be able to be used for high-end visualization, for public outreach or for 4D modeling. You'll be able to take a design and tie it to a CPM schedule that has a highly detailed work breakdown structure and be able to visualize that sequence of construction activities. So if we really evaluate how much is spent on change orders, we can see that there are definite opportunities here for digital delivery to help us, reduce these project costs. So there was a study done in 2018 by Federal Highways that showed the national average of change orders on highway and bridge projects account for nearly 5% of the construction contract value. So we can note here that a majority of the change orders are due to plan quantity changes, unforeseen conditions, and plan errors and omissions, most of which can be mitigated with a model-based design process. So, we'll be able to use this for quality review, multidisciplinary collaboration, a lot earlier on in our design process. So, in addition with 3D deliverables, contractors can leverage their automated machine guidance equipment, survey instruments to check grades. Today contractors are using this equipment, but it's based off of 3D models that they are developing. So they take, those 2D plan sheets or the ENS plan or whatever information that the department is providing on a specific project and creating their own 3D models. So we want to, have to eliminate that step. We'll be able to put a trustworthy model out to the contractor that they'll be able to use right in their automated machine guidance. So with that, hopefully it's a time savings and cost savings for the contracting community to be able to take that model that they would have to create and be able to put it right into their machine guidance. So during construction, our inspectors will be able to use their mobile devices with model viewing software, providing both graphical and non-graphical information. So the 3D models for construction will offer the opportunity to extract attributes and properties, from various applications. PennDOT is one of the leading states in e-construction applications. So we're going to continue to build upon this and to be able to get all of that information out to our contracting community, our inspectors, as we're inspecting these projects. This image here shows a close-up of a guide rail. That's the magenta color there. And we'll be able to identify items such as pay items and name units, the level in which it was drawn on in CAD, description of the object, the actual length. So this model-based design gives us the opportunity to connect object attributes that are important for construction right in the model. Now, it's not only just construction, it can be items that are important to design. It could be items that are important to asset management. So again, this complete life cycle of the project, and we'll be able to keep that data moving forward, all the way around. So when construction needs a specific item, they'll be able to click on it and get that item. Same thing with asset management, and then bring it back to design. If you have to go out and fix a piece of guide rail, or you're installing a new string, it's time to update it, you'll know exactly what's there. So then we get into the as-built. So we'll be able to leverage these 3D models for our as-built environment. Like I was saying before, today we get the example like there on the left side. It highlights around an area that changed. Well, that doesn't tell me how much of that guide rail really changed. Besides, on the tab and summary sheets, you get a line crossed out. Instead of 100 feet, it's 75 feet. But again, it doesn't tell me where that was changed to, what it looks like today in that as-built environment. So as we move forward with 3D models, When the contractors provide these as-built models, that data from the models will be used to populate a lot of our GIS databases, such as Maintenance IQ, and databases that we haven't even developed yet, because again, we're going to be getting so much data back that we're not used to getting that much data back at this point. So we're going to be able to track and see exactly where all of those assets really are and get that exact picture of what was, designed, what was constructed, and now what was out in the field. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Mark to get into PennDOT's vision and how PennDOT plans to carry out this this initiative. Mark?
Thanks, Alan. So what is PennDOT's vision? Well, our vision is by 2025, construction projects will be bid using 3D technology and no longer be in a traditional construction plan format. As Alan mentioned, all project elements, including what would typically be shown on also plans, will be contained within the CAD model. Now, we know, like we mentioned before, so some projects such as guide rail, RPMs, crack sealing, bridge reservation will be exempt from this. They'll be exempt from being 3D, but they would still be contained digitally within the project. And our 3D model will be the primary document of truth. As-built will be a deliverable from the contractor and will be an accurate representation of the construction project. So how exactly do we plan on achieving this? We developed a 5-year plan. We contracted the service of a group of consultants that helped us with stakeholder involvement and the creation of our strategic implementation plan. We engaged with both internal and external stakeholders, and we were seeking input and we documented concerns and challenges that we need to address, and also areas that we can capitalize on. Our implementation team also worked with multidisciplinary committee. We evaluated our processes. We assessed our technology. We assessed where our maturity was as far as digital delivery is. And all this information helped us create a list of activities that we need to focus on in the next 5 years. Our goal for this is to provide a solid set of policies, standards, and training materials to guide one consistent PennDOT approach for digital delivery. So as I mentioned previously, we have a large group of stakeholders that we worked with to develop our strategic plan. Some of the people obviously we worked with our PennDOT staff. We worked with the Federal Highway Administration, Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission. We worked with ACECFPA and also our partners at APC. Also on the right-hand side, you'll see a list of consultants that comprises our consultant team that is helping us through this initiative through 2025. Okay, this slide here represents what we developed. We developed a roadmap for our digital delivery directive. This roadmap is sort of like a one-sheet sort of briefing overall guide that tells us what's going on with digital delivery. As you can see, our vision statement is there. We just went over. We have our mission. We have some goals, what our keys to success are, our approach. Down below, we have a resource email account and also our web page. We'll get into that a little bit later. But also on the right-hand side, you see the roadway signs there, each one depicting a different year. Those years are indicating what specifically we plan on doing as the main focus for that year. As such, in 2020, we focused on developing our strategic plan, and we successfully did that. The plan is out and we're implementing it. In 2021, this year, we're working on several what we call quick start tools to help us get a good start on this initiative, and we'll get into those here a little bit later. Then in 22, we envision introducing and starting to implement some roadway modeling requirements as we move forward. And then in 2023, we're going to introduce some bridge and construction modeling requirements. Each year, we're going to build on the successes of the previous years. This is going to be, step by step as we go, the agile process. We're going to crawl, then we're going to walk, and we're going to run. So each year, we're going to build on these. So in 2024, we're going to keep building, and we're going to add some drainage and asset management requirements to what we're doing. So when we get to 2025, we're at the point now where we're starting to put all this together and building it as we go. So in 2025, we can put that whole model together and deliver that and have that as our document of truth. like I said, each year we're going to have various pilots building through and add on as we walk through this. So what are some of these quick start tools that I mentioned for 2021? One of the first things we did in putting these together. If you can flip me, Alan. There we go. We started looking at our process mapping for 2021. We took our design and construction phases and even our post-construction processes, and we looking at all of our processes. We laid them all out. We're looking for areas where can this new digital technology help us. I mean, we can use the technology, the process of what we have to go through to design a project. Still have to design a project the way you design a project, but how can this technology help us, and where can we integrate that into our processes? So we have all that mapped out, and we're looking at that. Also, we're looking at our policies, standards, and our guidance documents. We're going through and evaluating all of our software and hardware that we currently have and what we're currently using. Is the software we're using good enough? Is there something else out there that would be more efficient? Is our hardware capable? Can our computers handle what we're trying to do? So we're going through and evaluating all of that as well in 2021 to get ready for when we start kicking this into higher gear. We're ready to go. We're also looking at our procurement language. Obviously, when we start doing these new technologies, these new initiatives, we're going to have to change some of our contract languages. We start doing polish. We have to spell out exactly what we're looking for and what we want done. So we're starting to look at our procurement language and writing special provisions and getting that ready to go to put out in our contracts. We also realize we're introducing a lot of new terms, a lot of new phrases and things. So we also developed a glossary of terms, so the people can go through. They hear something like BIM. What does that mean? You can go to our glossary of terms and look it up and see exactly what it is we're talking about. So that also is available. So other things we're looking at in 2021 is our CAD standards and support. Where do we stand with CAD? We're looking at our modeling standards. Where are we? We're looking at each element that makes up these models. How does that element react? How does that element support other elements? What information do we want off of these elements to be able to use as that data at the end? What does that element mean? What do we need to capture off of that? We're also looking at our level of development. That's pretty much telling us how detailed do we need to go for some things. Some things we may not need to be very detailed. There's other areas where we got to be really detailed. So we're trying to make that determination and get that that level of development. What needs developed better? What can we back off of? So we're also going through and looking at those. As Alan also mentioned, we're transitioning over to our Open Road Designer or ORD. So we're looking at that as well. We're evaluating where we are with our maturity levels with ORD. We're going around and we're training. Getting our staff and everyone up to speed on training. Is ORD training available out there right now? Then we're going to train on how to do the models and produce these models. We're getting all of our data together and making sure everything's organized and ready to go. And we're starting to develop workflows to help the user walk through and step by step what they need to do to make these models and how they're developed. Excuse me a second. Second thing, the next thing in 2021 you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing us letting out some pilot projects. The focus of these pilot projects is to roll out our digital delivery workflows in a manner that allows us to build the new technology into our processes over the life of a project. Our goal is to have as many pilot projects as we can across all the districts that we can each year that would incorporate different and new digital delivery workflows. Now, these pilot projects won't only be in-house projects. These will also be consultant-led projects. We'll be using projects both designed internally by the department and also externally by our consultant users. Once completed, the results of all these pilots will be evaluated. We have a Digital Delivery Directive 2025 Governance Committee that oversees our whole initiative. So as we go through and we're successful and have something ready to go, we'll get approval from our governance committee, and we will start implementing as we go. Like I said before, these pilots will be just small pieces of the project. We're not going to sit there and flip a switch and say all of a sudden this whole project is going to be modeled and done digitally in 3D. We're going to pilot. We say we're going to do the agile process. We're going to crawl, rock, and run. We're going to do small pilot projects, just pieces of it at a time, and test it. And as we're successful, we'll implement it as we go. So by 2025, as we keep building and progressing, by 2025, we will have our Model B and the document of truth, and we'll be ready to go. Each year, we plan on piloting in all phases of our process, from design to construction. We plan to have some pilots. We have planned to have pilots in construction and also construction to asset management. So each year we want to have a pilot in each one of those phases as we move forward, and we're going to build each year as we go. First year of our pilots, like I said, this is 2021. What exactly are some of our pilot projects we're working on? Well, for this year, we're focused on a lot of those projects that have a low barrier to entry to assist us moving forward in our digital delivery process. For right now, for 2021, some of the things we're doing is we're setting and using a BIM execution plan, which is a template to describe how modeling will be achieved. We're working on the use of a model review checklist. We're setting requirements for receiving as-built records from projects. Currently, right now, we're also involved in an ED6 initiative for as-built guide rail. So we're using that in correlation with the digital delivery effort, and our first as-built records is going to be, we're actually using guide rails. So that pilot's going to be starting here real soon. Another thing we're working on for this year that we rolled out probably a little later on this summer for projects in the fall or beginning of next year is we're developing a single project PDF. What that is right now, say you have a plan set and there's like four or five sheets that make up your roadway plan. We have it broken up into 4 or 5 sheets. We want to just have one PDF of the whole project as a whole. So that's how we're doing. The first step is to let's eliminate the plan sheets. This is the first step of that is eliminating the actual cut sheets and delivering the actual roadway as one PDF. Another thing we're working on is rapid visualization. We're using through the use of Concept Station. Concept Station is a quick visualization tool for some of the models that you see here on the screen now to quickly put that together to help you do stuff for visualization. We're hoping to use that in the early stages for public meetings and public involvement through our NEPA process. So we're going to be putting out some pilots here this year using rapid visualization through Concept Station. That'll also be coming out in 2021. Now, our other years, like I said, our outlier years, I said, we're going to be building this as we go and building off our successes. So we're not quite as detailed or into the weeds with our years 22 through 2024. But in 2022, like we mentioned, we're going to start introducing our roadway models and roadway design, and we're going to start having some roadway piloted. And obviously, as we go, we're going to update our publications and have draft publications out there for people to use, and they'll be available as we move forward and implement these technologies as we go. And like I said, for some of the less mature cases like bridge design, we're going to try starting some of these small pilot projects and begin to build the requirements and what's necessary to do some of these other technologies that we're not really into now. Like bridge design, we're just starting to get into the 3D bridge design. So we'll be building that as we go. So hopefully by the end of 2022, we're going to have some reporting on progress and outcomes for all the changes that we made for everyone to see. We'll have reference documents and how digital delivery relates to our specific use cases and how it affects the different disciplines. As we build on that in 2023, we anticipate by then we'll have checked the box on roadway design authoring, and we'll have our publications out there, and we'll start piloting and starting doing more with bridge and start introducing some of our drainage design concepts in 2023 and start getting those off and those processes going. We hope to have a lot of reporting and progress out there as we go. And then in 2024, we'll be adding and doing some of our drainage and asset management projects, and we'll be focusing on updating more of our publications. And we're hoping to also start working on the model-based engineer's estimate. That'll also be piloted in 2024, and getting all that together. So in 2025, when this all comes together, we can have that model ready to go because we're building as we go. So in 2025, we can start putting this all together and being able to produce our model as our legal document. Okay, well, once we have these models, there's some other stuff, some neat things you can do with this. And one of them is the augmented reality. Here's a quick example of that, as you can see on the screen. Excuse me. We have a user. He's looking down a street. and then he puts on the goggles that shows the design, and the design is actually going to superimpose parts of the model that you want to see. Obviously, you're loading in what you want to see. So as he's looking down the view, his normal view, he puts down his visor and sees the goggles. He can see what proposed design. He's obviously working on some utility work. He can see where the utility lines are and what data is there through the goggles, just looking down the road. He can walk around the project and have the design superimposed on top of where he's walking on the existing ground. So there's technology is constantly changing. There's new stuff coming all the time. And this is just one of the things that once we have models and we have this data, we have the availability to start taking advantage of some of this technology. Okay, this brings us to, okay, so we have these models. We're able to use all these tools and stuff, but how are we signing and sealing these? Well, let's go back and talk how we do it today. Today, we design in CAD. We create a drawing. We take those drawings, we compile a drawing set, plan sheets, all are also plans. Each one has a title sheet. We physically stamp and sign all the title sheets, and all the other sheets have the engineer of records stamp on each sheet. Okay, so how do we know that sheet's good and ready to go? Well, for our validation, we have the stamp on the sheet. We see it. We know that sheet was stamped. It's right there. So how do we do that when we have a model? Some states are a little more further advanced on us than this. Have used this, and it's proven. So we're probably going to start with this as our initial way of doing it. We're going to have the engineer of record sign and seal a document, which will list all of the digital files that were used to make up that model. You'll have the file name, a description of what's in that file, and also have a date and timestamp when that file was certified, when he signed it. That makes this file, this version, the official record. So that's how we're going to keep track of what is the latest file and what file would need to be in that model to be the legal document. It would be the models that are listed on this sheet that are signed and sealed. Those file names, date and timestamps would be the ones that will be used to comprise the model that will be the legal document. Like I said, by 2025, I mean, there's new technology coming all the time. There may be something else out there that we may be able to use. But for now, we know, like I said, other states are using this method. So we're probably going to start off with this method. And when we get there, if there's other technologies, we'll explore what there is. But for now, this is how we're planning on signing and sealing our digital models. So what's our keys to success? How are we going to do this? Well, some of the keys is we need to manage our pace of change. We can't go too fast and overwhelm people and like sort of blow them away and say, holy cow, how are we doing this? So we can't go too fast to blow people away. And then again, we can't go too slow and everyone's saying, boy, this is going to take forever. So we have to have that balance. So everyone gets brought along and everyone's comfortable with what we're doing and sees what we're doing. And we have that nice ebb and flow. Yes, we're changing, but we're going at a nice pace to ease into these changes. We also need to help people perceive our progress. Like I said, we're going to try to have as many pilots as possible in as many districts as possible using the in-house and consultant staff. But obviously, we're not going to be able to hit everyone, and not everyone's going to be involved in some of these pilots. So we need to have a mechanism to help so people can go and they can see how we're making these changes. They can see what's happening, read about what's happening, and also they may not be doing it, but they can still learn and have the input of what's going on with our processes. We also need to create a safe space for experimentation for people that are doing our pilots. They have to have a space. They have to be, they can't be. They have to have a space. We need them to speak up. If something doesn't work, they need to tell us what isn't working. We're hoping on and having a lot of successes, but we're not naive enough to realize we're also going to have some failures. But we're looking at it as a thing. All our failure is we just figured out a way not to do it. So it's okay. We need to have a safe space. If we do some of our pilots and it fails, that's okay. You're not, no one's going to get, like, if you hear the ding, you missed a light, everything like that. It's okay. If you have a failure, we need to figure out what happened with it, learn from it, and then turn that into a success and change it and make it successful. So we need to have a safe space so our people feel they're okay to do this. And that brings us to the next one: empower our project teams. They need not to worry about doing a pilot project and saying, I'm not going to make my data. I'm going back to the old way. I'm not doing this. No, we need to empower them that yes, you have the light. Go ahead and go through the pilot, work this through, see it through the end. They need to be empowered to be able to do these pilot projects and go through with these. And finally, what it's going to take is partnering. This initiative is it's encompassing. It's hitting almost all areas of the way we do business. We're doing this full circle. It's department, it's consultant, it's construction, it's asset management, it's everyone. We all need to partner, work together to make this a success. We all need to be involved. We all need to have a voice. We need to listen to each other and what each other's needs are. And together, I think we can do this, and we can make this a success and have this completed by 2025. So that brings us to our outreach. How we doing this? What's out there? How do you guys know what we're doing, or where do you get your information? Well, as I mentioned on our map earlier, we do have a website. It is stood up. It's there. We are inputting data in it all the time. So if you have a question, you have anything for digital delivery, our website is up. It's ready to go. It has a lot. It's going to have a lot of information. It has a lot of information in there now, and we're going to keep building it and giving more information to it. The roadmap that I showed earlier will be housed there, or a copy of our strategic plan is housed there. You can go in and you can read our strategic plan. Our roadmap is there. The glossary of terms I talked about will be on our website. We're going to have a list of frequently asked questions. So if you have a question, you want to make sure if someone already asked that and have an answer, you can go there and see if someone already asked it and see what the answer is. So that'll be on our website. Resource information, there's a tab on there for resources. We're going to have all kinds of different resources on this website, including CAD information, the things you need to know about CAD, how it affects digital delivery will be on here. List of upcoming events, what's happening. Like today, we're speaking here today. I don't know if it's on the website or not. I haven't looked at it in a while. I've been busy doing other things, but stuff like that. Upcoming presentations that we're giving. If you want to go see where we're talking, where we're presenting, we'll be on here. Also, with the way we're doing things now, everything virtual and everything being recorded, we have all of our presentations on there that we gave. We're going to have a link on there that has all of these presentations. You can see where we talk to other groups. As you can imagine, we're asked to talk a lot to other groups and outreach to all other people. We try to hit as many of those as we can as possible. You might not always get Alan and myself. We have other team members that also give presentations. The normal ones, the big ones we always talk to for us, for the department, is we'll always be at APC in the fall. And we always have our TMTW presentations, or I guess it's now PDW presentations, in the spring. Those are commonplace. I can see for the next 5 years, you will definitely see me and Ellen at those presenting for digital delivery. But we also have other presentations that we do. We're talking to contractors. We're talking to ASHI. We've delivered several ASHI presentations. We have a couple more that are coming up. So that'll all be on the upcoming events list. And like I said, the links to those presentations will also be on here, so you can see what we're talking about and what we're presenting at all these presentations that we're doing. So with that, I'll bring up our Ellen and I's contact information. You can contact us directly. There's our email and phone numbers. Like I said, we also have a resource account. That's right there at the bottom for digital delivery. You can go there. More than just Ellen and I have access to this. So if you have a question, you need to get a hold of us, you can hit that resource account, and one of us and someone from our team will be able to get back to you. If not, you can feel free to pick up and hit me and Ellen directly. With that, I'd thank you. That's all the information we have for you right now. I'll invite Ellen back, and Ellen and I will do the best we can to answer your questions. So with that, Ellen, come on back.
All right, buddy. So
This is Rose, real quick. I just want to, we're going to stop the record.